I'll have a big jacket on and gloves and snow. So, and I went 32 years of that, so I think I can live with this for, what's the length of my contract? 10 years. So I can do it for 10. Yeah.
So this might not be like, the normal question you get, but I wanted to know a little bit about walk-ons on the team. How important are they to the competition, making everybody else better? Have you seen any walk-ons this spring that are really promising and really show out a lot?
So I don't know if you know, but we had, a number of walk-ons that were already part of the program. We evaluated the walk-ons in the program. We made some decisions as to who we felt that were benefiting the program and those that we felt like, quite frankly, were not. And we made some decisions to, keep them and others that we did not. And then we had our own walk-on tryouts. And quite frankly, we found some guys that we felt, again, could help the program. And everywhere I've been, the walk-on program has been, I believe, instrumental to our success. So when we talk about instrumental, it's not only in terms of the ability to add depth, but scholarship too. I believe that your walk-ons should have a chance to earn a scholarship. So where are we right now? I think we've strengthened our walk-on program, but it needs to continue to get better. And I think that is part of developing systematically a great program is to have a great walk-on program.
How much have you seen Miles Brennan improve in the short time you've worked with him? What are his qualities? And it just seems like at practice, he seems to have pretty good grip on what he's doing out there.
Well, I think I would start with physically. He's improved his body, his conditioning level. All of those things had to start with, his ability to just compete, and he did a tremendous job in January, February, and March leading into spring ball, physically changing his body type, taking care of himself, getting stronger, which put him in a position to use a lot of his experience against, by and large, other than maybe Jayden, an inexperienced group. He knows what he does well, and he knows his limitations. So I think he's a smart, experienced quarterback that plays to his strengths. He throws the ball extremely well down the field, pushes the ball vertically, is always going to get us in the right play, protects himself and protects the ball. He's just a smart player.
Hey, Coach, Cookie Riley, the Daily Advertiser. I was sort of curious as to what sort of tone around the team is now heading into the spring game on Saturday.
Well, after the last two practices, I think they're pretty excited. These have been heavy practices. We've thrown a lot at them the last 2 days, more than I can remember in a long time. And a lot of it was because they weren't ready. I didn't want to have a lot of soft tissue injury. I didn't want to have a lot of guys out. We've minimized injury in the spring because of that. We were very careful in the way we went about our first couple of weeks. So therefore, there was not a lot of 11-on-11 live work. I was able to save a lot of that for later in the spring. And so I can tell you it's been robust in the last week, and then we're going to go have a scrimmage on Saturday. So these guys are going to be tired after Saturday. So I would say that they're going to be pretty excited for Saturday because they're going to be in the stadium. So the adrenaline is going to be going, and we're treating it like a game. From the walk to the pregame to being in the stadium, we're going to treat it. It's going to be on, the SEC network. All of those things will make it exciting for them.
Coach, during Saturday, I saw you as one-on-one drills with the receivers and DBs, kind of like stop and talk about brotherhood. What does that really mean to you, and what were you preaching to them?
So when these guys are competing at such a high level, emotions can get involved, and you never want to put somebody that is on your team in a compromising position. And you want to do that physically, and you never want to be able to put your teammate down, and that means talking. I think the one situation you may be referring to is that we had maybe a little bit too much verbal jousting back and forth. And I'm okay with, hey, come on, let's go, bring it on. But like anything else, there's a line that you never want to cross. We call that the Brotherhood. Respect your brothers. And you can have a little bit of that jousting, but we don't want them to cross that line.
Coach Mike Scarborough with TigerBait.com.
Yep.
Have you decided the offense, defense on Saturday? How many plays do you want to get in? Split reps with the quarterbacks? Were they all going to be even? Is there going to be a true halftime? The whole skinny on it.
Yeah, I thought that would have gotten out to the media, no? Most of it, yeah. So it'll be an offense versus defense. Defensive scoring situations will be 3 and out, tackle for loss, points, things of that nature, stops in the red zone. So it'll be defensive point structure versus the offense. There'll be a shorter halftime. We're trying to make it as realistic of a game situation within the 2-hour televised window. And the quarterback situation, because it's, obviously offense versus defense, we'll be able to split them up one on each team, 2 on each team, and then probably be able to split those reps pretty evenly amongst the 4 of them.
Brian, over here, do you expect John Emery to get to go on Saturday? You're going to kind of limit him?
No, we're going to play him.
What are overall, based on kind of what you have with this roster being a little bit thin and having to kind of use that version of the spring game that you mentioned, just what do you hope to kind of get out of this on Saturday? Any takeaways you kind of hope to find out about this team?
Absolutely. First of all, we're still in that process of learning how to go from, and I've mentioned this a couple of times to you guys, to go from practice to competition. And there's a rise in your emotional level and your focus and your attention to detail and all of those things that turn in from, what you do in practice. You can't be thinking about it in a game. I want guys to play fast and physical, and that should look different. So I don't want another practice. Or we would have just stayed on the field and we'd call it a practice. So this is really about watching guys play at a higher level. Once we get that, we'll get them out of the game, the guys that we know about, and we'll move on. But there's a number of guys that have to use this game as an opportunity to take another step forward. And then there's competitive battles for positions that are really, really crucial. And obviously the one that we all want to talk about, and we should, is the quarterback position. That is a hotly contested, position that requires this kind of game, so those guys can sort out, where they are.
Coach, this is kind of going to be your first time in Tiger Stadium with just a taste of how electric that fan energy is. I'm sure you've heard about how crazy Saturday night in Tiger Stadium gets. Are you excited to see the fans in there and excited for them to get a look at this new team?
Oh, absolutely. Again, spring games generally don't, bring the same kind of atmosphere, but just the practice Saturday, even with nobody in there was a different energy with the group. So it'll be fun. It'll be exciting. It won't be the real thing, but it'll be another step closer to it. We'll handle it like it's a game day situation with pregame and, our pregame routine, how we work out prior to a game, so the guys understand, what's our pregame routine, how we stretch, how we do all those things. So when we go against Florida State, it's not the first time.
Hey, Coach, Glenn Gilvo with Outkick.com. Are you going to try to get the equal number of throws or snaps for the 4 quarterbacks or close to it?
Yeah, we've been really good. I looked at the numbers today, and we're within, from top to bottom, I think it was 8 snaps differential between the 4 in terms of 11 on 11 snaps. So we'll try to do the same thing. Joe's been remarkably efficient in making sure that happened, and we'll continue to do that in the game.
And I wanted to ask you about your new house. What do you think of it? Did you pick it or did your wife? And how about that view of the stadium from your house?
It's beautiful. There were a lot of things that went into that, right? We wanted proximity. It's less than a mile from campus, which allows us to entertain official, unofficial visitors. And that was huge for us because we want to use it as a place to entertain.
That's an NCAA rule?
That is an NCAA rule. So less than 1 mile from campus, you can have unofficial visitors over, which we're going to be doing this weekend, actually. So you're welcome to come over. No, you can't. But that was important. And I just think, proximity. We wanted to be close. And I think that those were probably the 2 main factors. Would have been nice if it was a little cheaper, but it seems like the real estate market in here is pretty hot right now.
You know what number house that is?
Oh, goodness. If I take a quick guess, I'm going to say that is number 7.
Over here, Coach Tim Buckley with Tiger Rag. When Coach Denbrock was in here a couple weeks ago, whenever it was, he talked about how at one point or a couple points y'all put like a moratorium on install. Has that, as you progress, kind of ended, and are you caught up to where you want to be on install, or has it still kind of been a stop and start?
Yeah, we put base runs, base pass concepts. So it was really about when I think he was alluding to moratorium. What we were talking about was that we were a little bit behind in technique, protections, things of that nature, and we wanted to kind of go back and spend a little bit more time there. So, we had enough in from an offensive structure standpoint. We didn't like some of the protections. Today we spent 10 minutes on blitz pickup, things of that nature. So it was much more about technique than it was anything else.
Hey, Coach. So with the recent addition of some transfers, how well is this DB room really improving? And with the leadership of Greg and Joe that they bring to the table, with their veteran leadership, being in the SEC for so long, what can they teach these younger guys that are just coming into the SEC? And what can they bring to their table and kind of teach them and coach them along their journey?
Yeah, it's a good question. We didn't know. Look, we knew about their character. One was obviously a captain. One was extremely well thought of in the program. They both love Louisiana, wanted to be here. So a lot of those things were in place. You don't know until you get them here in terms of, work ethic and things of that nature. We thought we had, 2 really good ones, and then they took off. I mean, they were leaders in our off-season program. And then on the field, they're exactly what we had hoped. They lead by example, both on and off the field. They've been excellent in the classroom. They've been a great addition and have helped rise the level of everybody.
Coach, what about your kicking competition when it comes to field goals, extra points, and whatnot? How important is this in terms of getting these guys in Tiger Stadium? And
It's important. We've got a freshman on the way too who's very talented that will be in the mix as well. I don't want to discount him, but our kickers have done a really good job. I know Brian's excited about him, and he wants to get him into Tiger Stadium and wants to see them kick. So we're going to kick off. They won't have anybody running down, but they're going to kick off. We're going to convert all extra points in field goal situations because we want to let them get into Tiger Stadium and kick because they've really done a nice job throughout the spring. So we're going to let everybody see them and see how they handle it, under those circumstances. Yeah, last one.
I think you can talk about him because he's like officially signed. Sevyn Banks. What did y'all like about him, and how does he kind of fit into the mix at cornerback?
Well, I mean, he's a starter in the Big Ten before he got injured. Kerry Combs coached him. Kerry was my defensive back coach at Cincinnati. Kerry loved him. And, you know, when you have somebody that you know so well that can, you know, speak directly about his character and who he is and what kind of player he was, then it's up to our medical staff. We got a positive medical report from our doctors. And, you know, once I felt comfortable after talking to Kerry about who he was and, you know, what kind of player he was, we liked him on campus. We really liked who he was as a person and how he handled himself and his family. Then it's got to go through the doctors, you know, the kind of injury he had, when can he be ready, you know, all of those things. And once we got a positive report from the medical team, then it was an easy decision on our part. Thank you.